What up, what up, what up? Real Fans Podcast, back at it again. Another week. We're in the middle of sports equinox in the playoffs. I'm your boy, Gabe. That's my boy, Julian. Julian, say what's up to the people.
What's up, people? What's up, people?
I mean, we're recording this thing. You know, I feel like we're doing two a weeks now in the middle of this sports kind of landscape now. You know, trying to stay on top of it. We can't be, having like 2 weeks off on here. A lot of stuff going on in sports. Julian said he's having fun with that fucking app with the was it the Bleacher app?
The Bleacher Report app, dude.
Bleacher Report.
Honestly, it is the best way to stay up there. And everything gives you highlights, clips, art, like bro, everything. Like I'm not even joking. Honestly, the banter on there is hilarious too. Like in the comments and shit. It's on, and then they have like live game chat. Like you can go to like the actual game and see like a live chat of like people just talking shit on there. Kind of like you would if the game was like on YouTube.
And you do this honestly, it's been off your phone? Or you have it on your computer as well?
Yeah. I don't do it on my computer. I just do it on my phone or my tablet. But that's about it. But yeah, dude, you can do fucking everything on there. There's like live streams, all kinds of shit. Especially for the draft, they're doing a ton of stuff on there. But it's honestly, I'm telling you, Gabe, you gotta get on it, bro. I think you'll like it. It's really good. It'll get you off Twitter.
Oh my god! I mean, Twitter is still fun for me. Twitter is my guilty pleasure. But speaking of it, let's talk about the NFL draft because we actually finally had it happen over the weekend.
Yes.
It should be starting later today. I think they're starting round 4 or something. But let's talk about the NFL draft.
4 to 7.
Yeah.
The guys who may or may not make the roster, but who knows what you get at these rounds. It's a crap. I mean, draft in general is a crapshoot, but like these are especially crapshoots at like these rounds. But
this is where you get,
like you said, the big one.
This is where you get value, man. You gotta find. This is where you go deep in the bin. Most guys are celebrating. They're drinking the champagne. Everybody's like, this is where you go to work. This is where you really get
I would love to see what percentage of guys drafted from round 4 to 7 stay in the league for a minimum of 4 years.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, you know what? That'd be good.
I'm sure. I don't know if there's any stats on that. There probably isn't, honestly. But like, man, you got to actually hit on somebody. It's got to be like less than 1%. It has to be, right?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna assume that most of the leagues, besides the star players, the guys we hear about, heading into a draft.
Yeah, just 4 years.
Most guys are just, it's gonna be your second, third string. Maybe they're a practice squad. What is the average? They say the average league career is what, like 2 or 3 years for the average
like
player?
3 years or something. Oh, yeah, let's say not just 4 years, but 4 years, and maybe you play 70% of the games. Like that's within those 4 years. Like how common do you think that is?
Oh, I think that's more common than you think. I think that's more common.
Really?
We talk about the players that start all the time, right?
At 4 years, and then they get like they play 70% of the time, not starting, just like just on the field playing available, and they played a game. I mean, they played in 70% of the games.
There's only 11 spots on the field, and how many spots do they have on a roster? There's other, you know what I mean? There's like 40. There's 40 other people who are not on the field at that time. You know what I mean? At any one time. So,
I just think it's got to be pretty rare, unless you're like on a really shit team or there's a lot of injuries for like guys drafted that late and getting regular minutes in the course of 4 years. That's got to be. It can't be that high, but who knows?
I'll look into it.
It's incalculable. No,
it's calculable. I'm sure there's some kind of stats on there. But let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about the NFL draft. Obviously, round 1, most important round. I don't know. Big surprise for me, man. I mean, round 1 to going to the Bears. I mean, nobody saw this coming. How was anybody?
No one saw it coming.
How was anybody able to predict this? Caleb Williams going number 1. We're just going to talk about the top drafts overall and how you feel about how it fits suited. So let's talk about Caleb Williams. Obviously, the biggest prospect. Everybody talking about him since since week 1 of the college season. Going to the Bears.
I mean, even last year, people were like, as soon as the draft ended, people were like, Caleb Williams is going number 1 overall next year. I mean, like you said, it was no surprise. I mean, to me, he was the number 1 overall pick. I don't think it was really a question when you consider everything that he has to offer in his game. He is. Now, if we go into the Bears and we look at it, and this is what I really want to talk about with you, Gabe, is like, so the Bears are running it back with Matt Eberflus. a defensive-minded coach, a guy who wasn't able to really turn Justin Fields' career around, really. We'll see what he can do in Pittsburgh. But I'm wondering if you're a Bears fan out there, let me know. Are you guys, because from the outside looking in, I'd be worried. This is a guy who couldn't really turn anything around with Justin Fields, who I think still has talent. It wasn't like Justin Fields was awful. That team was really bad. Now, the Bears have done a lot in the offseason, and I'll name a few. I don't know if you know these, Gabe, and I'll pull it up right here, actually.
Yeah.
You have, outside of the draft, so I'm going to just name the big names. You got Keenan Allen coming over there. You got Gerald Everett. You got Matt Pryor, Kevin Byard on the defense, Jalen Johnson, who is franchise tagged but stays there. And then, obviously, last year you have DJ Moore, and now you also have DeAndre Swift in the backfield. So you got some nice weapons there. You got DeAndre Swift, who's shown that he can be a quality all-around running back when he was in Detroit. You got Keenan Allen, who, is getting older. I think he has to be entering like his 8th or 9th season at this point. Has been plagued with injuries the past 2 years. So if he could stay healthy, alongside with Gerald Everett getting a tight end threat, who, Super Bowl winning tight end. He had a little bit of a down year last year, but he's still, tight ends are hard to come by. And then you got DJ Moore, who I rate super highly. I think he's a guy who could play really well. He showed a lot in Carolina and parts when he was in Chicago. I think they're starting to kind of build some pieces around Caleb Williams, more so than they probably ever did with Justin Fields. Oh, and they got never mind. That's a different team. But obviously they bolstered up the defense a lot. There's a lot of these smaller guys, honestly, I've personally never heard of. But they're getting depth. And I'm thinking the Bears might be one of those teams. Obviously, this is all riding on the fact that if Caleb Williams actually ends up being who everybody says he is. I think there's a good chance he's going to be solid. I don't know if he's going to be lights out. I don't know if you're going to get another CJ Stroud year from a rookie year. I have a feeling that Caleb Williams is going to be kind of all right, which is fine. I think that's what you want out of a rookie quarterback. I think he's going to be all right. He's going to be good. I'm just curious to see how well that offensive scheme is going to put around him with the offensive coordinator they have there. So, but I just have this feeling I think the Bears might do a pretty big turnaround. I think they might potentially push for a wild card. I think they've done a lot to really beef up that team. And parts of last year, it felt like shit just kind of went off the rails.
Yeah.
And sometimes maybe you're not the worst team, but you end up first overall. It kind of felt that way. Even though I do believe the Bears were still one of the worst teams in the league. Were they the absolute worst? I don't know. But felt like that was more so Arizona. We'll see, though. So what do you think? Do you think the Bears, with what they've done, and how do you project Caleb Williams could actually play this upcoming season?
I think he's going to be well. I think as far as NFL start ready, I think he is NFL start ready. How well he's going to do, I don't expect a lot out of first year, second year, guys like that. I was high, I was high on the Chicago Bears. Just looking at that on paper, I was like, man, they're putting some talent around there. Obviously they come out, they had a disappointing season last year. I think they lost the first 4 or 5 games that they had. But as far as Caleb Williams, like you said, I think he will be a solid player. I'm gonna give him grace, give him a year and a half to figure it out. But he definitely has the ability to start and to do well. So I'm gonna hope for him because not a lot to be hopeful for if you're a Bears fan. These past few years, it feels like 5 years. So yeah, it's gonna be one of these things, Julian, where it's you get these first round picks, and it's not gonna be around. It's not gonna be about did you have talent available to you. It's gonna be how did you develop this talent? If you can't do it with Caleb Williams, I understand maybe people think that Justin Fields was a flyer or something, but if you can't do it with Caleb Williams, it's not your spot in the draft, or it's not the incoming talent. You know what I mean?
Dude, and then on top of that, I don't know how I forgot, but in ninth overall in their second pick, they got Rome Odunze from Washington, a wide receiver. So they're really bolstering that offense a lot. Like I said, signing some offensive linemen, it's actually like that's a pretty solid team, man. Like if he can be anything that people were projecting him coming out of college, like he was a highly touted wide receiver coming out of college and coming into this draft. And then you put the likes of somebody who can learn behind like Keenan Allen, if he could stay healthy. Like this, man, this is like a really good team. I'm just hoping that the coaching staff can put it all together. And that's probably like my biggest concern is putting it together, because I think the Bears the past few years, they've been pretty solid defensively. They've been mostly a defensive team. That's what kept them in games. They haven't really looked too bad on that front. It's always been the offense. It's always been, can they put up points? Are they looking good? This is a really good. I would be super pumped if I'm a Bears fan. I think they had an A+ offseason for sure. Yeah, now you just gotta hope that this guy could be good.
That they can, have coaches to lead them. But let's talk about the other draft pick, Jayden Daniels, quarterback to the Washington Commanders. I don't know if you've been looking at the Commanders. They've been a weird team, like an anomaly kind of for me. I kind of don't know what's up with this team. I was high on them a few years ago when they had I forget who was it. Was it Heineke when Heineke was starting for them? I was a Heineke guy. I'm a Heineke guy. I don't give a damn what they say, even if he's not starting. But let's talk about the Washington Commanders acquiring Jayden Daniels. I don't know. It seems like. Do you feel like they
trophy winner?
Yeah. Do you feel like they were fulfilling a need, or this is just like pick the highest quality guy? You mean like the highest player that you can get? Like, how do you feel about the Commanders and the acquisition of Jayden Daniels?
I think they had to get him. I mean, obviously, to me, he seemed like he was the second best quarterback in my book. Whether or not. Look, the team has a lot of issues, and looking at their transaction sheet right now, I mean, man, this entire thing is 1-year deals. I mean, they've complete, like, let me count how many fucking free agents they signed this year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Dude, they've basically built a whole new team. Like, I'm not even joking. They have so many. So, like, that could be a great thing. It could be a bad thing, or it could just be a thing that takes time. I think this is going to be a thing that takes time. Time will see. I think right now, a lot of these are 1-year deals, 2-year deals, trying to see what you have and who you can bring back. Because like the Washington team, and I was saying it the past couple of years, they were just stuck in this purgatory where you're not bad, but you're also not good enough to like go that extra step. And I think it was more than just a quarterback. This team needed a reset. They needed to completely get rid of everybody, start brand new, and see who you can build upon. And that's what it looks like they're doing this year. They brought in a new coach. Let's see what they can do. Maybe, like I said, we'll see. Like, they got some names on here, I will say. You have Zach Ertz, who's coming back. You have Dorrance Armstrong, which is actually a big signing for them.
And I signed Eckler.
You got Austin Eckler, Brian McManus, Marcus Mariota, Dante Fowler Jr., Jamison Crowder, Bobby Wagner, who's getting old, but we'll see. Jamison Crowder, inconsistent. Can he be what people thought he was going to be? You know, Jeff Driscoll. God, I thought I'd never see that name again. Holy shit. But yeah, man, just a lot of guys. Oh, and then they drafted your favorite player in the league's brother, Luke McCaffrey, in the 3rd round at wide receiver. So we'll see what he turns out to be. Oh. But I think this is going to be one. I don't think it's going to be. They're going to have a turnaround like the Bears will. This is going to be a team that's going to take some time. I think they're trying to figure out what they can build upon, who's going to be long-term guys, and just kind of go off there because all these are basically leases that they're setting up for like short term. But we shall see. I think he's going to be good. I think he has talent. But at the end of the day, you never know, man. Some of these guys, they come out of college looking amazing, and then they just completely bust, whether it be because of them, whether it be because of the scheme. I think Washington's going to be one of those where I'm going to be a little interested in. I'm curious to see how this rebuild goes for them, because this is a true rebuild right now.
Yeah, and being in division like in that division, I already said it was the weak division. It kind of exciting last year, I guess, the playoffs how it was forming. It's just like I don't know how they stack up against the division. I mean, we just have to wait and see until the schedule comes out and see how they stack up against. But to me, that division seems wide open. It's just like how much better are they going to be than the Eagles or Dallas going forward. It's just like I said, it's an anomaly to me. It seems like they're just trying to, like you said, it's a rental, it's a lease. They're kind of up in the air.
Everything, dude. Like, yeah. I mean, all these free agent acquisitions. I mean, that is insane. Like 20 plus free agent acquisitions, with large majority of them on 1 to 2 year deals, mostly one.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about New England. Talk about team trying to rebuild.
Again. The team that everybody, the entire New England fan base wanted everybody to know that Mac Jones was the future. He was the offensive rookie of the year, or the best rookie quarterback of the year, I should say. All this shit. And I said, look, man, the dude's not that good. Let's wait and see. But I want to see what he can, because like that, the only reason why he even was the best quarterback that draft was because all the other situations were terrible. You're talking about Jacksonville with Urban Meyer. Justin Fields in Chicago at the time was atrocious. Zach Wilson, still bad. He's no longer with the team. Like, come on. Like, people were overhyping Mac Jones way too hard, and I'm not surprised to see them move on. I think this guy, Drake Maye, I saw a little bit out of North Carolina. He's already like a way more talented guy than what Mac Jones is. Now, whether or not it translates for New England, I think we'll see. New England's enough, like you said, it's a rebuild. They have put some pieces around him. They re-signed Hunter Henry. They brought in, let me go down the list. They brought in Antonio Gibson from Washington. They brought in Austin Hooper, which is a great pickup. Malik Wilcox, and then a lot of offensive line depth. So, and re-signing Kendrick Bourne, which I thought was, he was a solid receiver for them last year.
Yeah,
he's an all right receiver. I think you need to keep the guys that you can. Yeah, he's good for them. So, we'll see. It's an improvement. I think anything's an improvement from last year for New England. So, are they any close to potentially fighting for a playoff spot? No, they're not even close to the division. I don't see it happening. They're obviously making strides to fix that offense. But man, do you
think he'll be able to start? Because right now I'm looking at ESPN. They have Jacoby Brissett obviously the starter. He's a vet, been in the league a long ass time. They have Jacoby Brissett as their number one. Do you think at any point that he comes in and will start? You see some playing time this season. How soon?
Brissett, man.
How soon? He's a you put him in.
Put him in.
Give him
Jacoby
Brissett.
Yeah, Jacoby Brissett is atrocious, dude. He's so bad. Like the odds, say Drake Maye goes bad, starts off really bad. I think you're gonna get that with Jacoby Brissett. what are you gonna get? The worst case scenario, if you start Drake Maye over Jacoby Brissett, is that you're gonna have a bad game that you probably were already gonna get with Jacoby Brissett anyways. Best case scenario, this guy hits the, starts off running. Like he's hits the gates running. He's moving. He's playing well. Like that's your best case scenario. I think Jacoby Brissett, there's no point. It's not like what you're going to talk about probably after this is the Atlanta situation with Kirk Cousins. This is a guy who, Jacoby, yes, he's been in the league, but he's a Dolphins legend,
I feel like this. He's a journeyman. I feel like I've seen Jacoby Brissett in every team.
If it was like Ryan Fitzpatrick, for example, I'll be like, let's start Ryan Fitzpatrick. But Jacoby Brissett is, I don't care. There's no convincing me that guy is good. He's not good. So I think you start off fresh. Now, how well that offensive scheme plays out, we'll see. I mean, New England, since the Tom Brady era ended, they just seem like they cannot get anything going offensively consistently. So we'll see if that changes.
Man, that's tough because, if you look at his draft position, like everything is telling you that this guy has got to start, right? You're a top 10 player, like you're a top 10 pick. You have to start, especially at the quarterback position with the situation that the Patriots are in. But to me, that's the interesting thing to watch. I would guess is like, yes, his draft position saying he should start, but do you actually want to put him in? Maybe you pick a boo-boo team. Maybe you pick like a sorry ass team to start him with. Maybe to get him up to speed, NFL speed. Unless you just think that he's an NFL starter right away, like he can just hop in there. Like there's nothing wrong with putting in a vet, letting him get up to speed, knowing the game plan, how the NFL works, and then halfway through the season you want to put him in. I'm fine with that, but I think it's interesting that you say that you think he's going to start right away over Jacoby Brissett.
I think my only reason because of that is not because of him, but because of Jacoby Brissett. I think ideally he's the type of guy I probably would wait and hold off on. But I feel like unless New England, if they really want to compete this year, which I don't think they're ready to compete, I don't think they're a terrible team, but they might get 5 or 6 wins this year. I just feel like he's not a good enough bridge quarterback to make it worth benching or sitting him for a while. And if you look at past history, Bill Belichick has thrown Mac Jones in there immediately. So I don't see him doing that any difference. And my supposition is that they're probably going to throw him in immediately because I think they already think he's a higher quality talent than what Mac Jones was. I think they believe into this guy. This guy he was a better prospect coming out of college than Mac Jones. And I think they rate him higher than Mac Jones. I think they might find that he's more capable than him. But maybe they look at the past and say, hey, look, we made a mistake with Mac Jones. He wasn't ready. And maybe that'll mess him up. But I don't know. I think Mac Jones is always a system guy. I mean, he came from Alabama. Never trust Alabama quarterbacks. Never. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I think he's one of those where I could easily. He's a crapshoot. I don't know if he's a surefire thing, but then again, none of these guys are. So,
yeah. All right, let's talk about a surefire thing. Maserati Marv. I think heading into the draft, right? He was like one of the teams. He was invited to the combine, but he was like. Was he one of these guys that didn't take like a physical? Like he only did a physical for like a couple teams. I know Caleb Williams was part of that group. Marvin, I don't know.
Yeah, usually a lot of these guys don't. They'll do like workouts at the facilities for the teams. A lot of these guys have been skipping out on the combine. I haven't remembered the last time I've seen like a top prospect workout at the combine. It's been a long time. I mean, at this point, there's no point of risking anything. Everybody knew Marvin Harris Jr. was going to be the best wide receiver prospect in the draft. He was going to go top 5 no matter where. And obviously Arizona made the most sense because they've invested a lot of money in Kyler Murray. Didn't seem like they had any interest in moving up to try to get anybody. They wanted that extra weapon. They want to replace DeAndre Hopkins since he's left. Can he be that? I rate Marvin Harrison Jr. really well. I thought he was amazing in Ohio State. I think he's going to be a really good wide receiver. I think he's going to be if he's anything like, if he's a half of what his dad is, he's going to be a quality receiver in this league. I mean, I'm just glad he's not in the AFC South because I cannot have another Harrison destroying my Jags over again because I grew up my entire life seeing Marvin Harrison and Peyton Manning absolutely dice up my team. I can't do that again. So I'm glad he is all the way on the other side of the country in a different division. I don't want to see him. Let him stay over there. Yeah. But I think he's going to be great. We'll see with Kyler Murray. hopefully this offseason can get a little bit more healthier and play better to what we saw.
Yeah, no more excuses, Kyler Murray.
I still don't. I don't know, man. I mean, does this? I don't know. There just seems to be so many other issues going on with the Arizona Cardinals. It just seems like it's going to be another down year. They have made a lot of acquisitions, a lot of these 1-year guys, flyer guys, outside of DJ Dallas, the running back, and Mac Wilson. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Arizona's one of those wait and see teams for me. If you can get that same Kyler Murray, I still think they still lack weapons, especially trading away Rondell Moore. Really hurt them. I thought he was a good prospect for them, and then obviously DeAndre Hopkins gone, so they're trying to replace that need. But we'll see. I'm not super high on the Cardinals right now. I think they might have another down year, especially with the way that division is shaping out. That division is going to be pretty tough. I think you have a Rams team that's getting better. You have San Francisco 49ers reigning NFC champs. And then Seattle's always a wild card. You never know.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, especially with Pete Carroll now no longer as the head coach. I still think Seattle might be a better team than Arizona, but I don't know. They got a tough path. I think the NFC is becoming pretty good. And I don't think they're good enough to really compete in the NFC right now. The NFC is kind of catching up to the AFC, and they're getting better. So I think I need to see Arizona do more offensively, especially to really make a difference. And maybe they will. Maybe some guy will come out of nowhere, and then also just maybe the duo of Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. really like can take off. But I don't know.
All right. I mean, I like you said, as far as him as an individual player, I think he's going to go high. Like in the fantasy, I think he's the guy to pick up just to watch. Obviously, there's going to be no more excuses. Like with a talent like Marvin Harrison, like everybody, he was highly anticipated coming out of college. Everybody expects him to be really good. I think he does have the talent to be a starter. On par with like a Jamar Chase or somebody. He has. The ability to do so. So I think he's an exciting player, but like you said, as a team, Arizona, they got more problems than just that wide receiver. But Marvin Harrison is going to be he's going to be good for them. I'll just say that.
Let me ask you this: what's the odds that Desmond Ridder starts a game for Arizona?
Ooh, see, I got to look at that schedule. See, I was trying to look up the dates for the schedule. I think they released some. It's been like May 11, May 12th. So maybe in a couple weeks, next month. I got to look at that schedule. I wonder if I can pull up.
Do you think Murray gets benched, or do you think he gets hurt?
Man, he's got to look really bad. Like he's got to look really bad. I think if he comes out the gate, that's what I said, man. You got to give teams, give them a month. Give me 4 games. Give me a month of play, and we can assess, like, okay, this team looks all right. They're okay. I got to see that schedule. See who they're playing first. Yeah, I think generally they usually do, like, rivals, right? It's, like, always a division team week 1 or something. They usually do Super Bowl.
Usually,
the first game is usually, like, the Super Bowl rematch, and then usually a division rival for week 1.
I'm still shocked. I mean, maybe they don't rate him highly. I mean, from what I've seen in Rondell Moore, he looks to be kind of like a scary guy. To trade him, a speedy wide receiver, for Desmond Ridder just seems really like shocking to me. Like Desmond Ridder was atrocious in Atlanta last year. He was so bad.
Speaking of Atlanta, I mean, we probably talk about the most controversial pick of the night, maybe, or one that some people were shocked, dumbfounded. I don't know. I'm not an Atlanta fan, so what are your thoughts on Atlanta going with shit?
I'll let you hit it first. You go first.
With Michael Penix. Listen, here's the thing. I always want to give it to you because you say you don't watch. You say you don't watch a lot of college. I definitely watch less college than you. So if you don't watch a lot, but Penix Jr., I think. People have been touting him. I think he was up there. Was he at one point like maybe a potential Heisman winner, Heisman finalist, Heisman something?
Yeah, he went on a really good run last year, towards the end of last year, and it was a big part of Washington making it as far as they did.
Yeah. So I was high on. I think I remember watching that series. I think I was at the time I was a Washington fan. I was kind of rooting for them to blow it up. But Michael Penix Jr. going to Atlanta Falcons, obviously one of the biggest acquisitions as far as free agency, was Kirk Cousins. Like as far as veteran quarterbacks that are available that can start for a team, them acquiring Kirk Cousins was kind of like, okay, well, it seems like they've been rebuilding the last couple of years. You get a starting quarterback, and then number one draft pick goes to Michael Penix Jr. I don't know how you feel about should Atlanta Falcon fans be shocked? Were you shocked? How do you feel about having a potentially two quarterback? Because they say if you have two quarterbacks, you have none.
I was really shocked. I was convinced that I thought Kirk Cousins was the future. I mean, he signed a 4-year deal. I got it right here. 4-year, $180 million contract. Like that's like long-term quarterback money. That's like he's going to be our guy for the next 4 years, and maybe he is. And here's my thing. I think this is the one where you sit him down and you don't play him for a couple years. I think he's going to get Jordan Love treatment as long as Kirk Cousins doesn't look horrible, which Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. Is he elite? No. Is he borderline top 10? At times. Is he not clutch? Yes. But I think he drastically improves that Atlanta team. I think Atlanta is going to be a team that really skyrockets and plays a lot better because this is a very weak division. This is a team, I think this instantly makes Atlanta a playoff contender because of their division. Carolina is going to be terrible. New Orleans is still probably going to be really whatever. The only team you really got to watch out for is the Bucks, which is a solid team. They made it deep in the playoffs. But I think they can compete with them. This Atlanta team is getting a lot better. I think Michael Penix Jr. is really going to sit down, watch, learn from a guy who's been there, done that, who's been successful in the league. This is what I think New England needed. Because I don't necessarily, I would like to sit Drake Maye. I don't know if he should start, but they don't have a guy who can really step up and really, hold it down. And I think Kirk Cousins, Atlanta, they're building something really good. I really like what they're doing. I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked. Because the more I thought, in the moment, I'm like, wow, I did not see that coming. But then the more I think about it, if Atlanta's anticipating themselves to be a lot better, like we all are, with the moves that they've made and what they have acquired, they're probably not going to be this low again for a while. And you have an opportunity to get a highly rated prospect, you go after it. Because once you get above that 10 spot, it gets a little murky of whether or not how well you might rate that quarterback. Because a lot of people think these quarterbacks are top 10 picks, but then once you get past 10, it gets a little kind of weird. I think they saw the opportunity, they took it, they like the free agent acquisitions that they made in the offseason. You have an opportunity to get a guy who has shown a lot of talent. I think you go for it. So at first I was really shocked, but now looking back at it, I'm like, wow. But let me name off some of, like, this offense is going to be pretty good. Obviously, you already have Kyle Pitts, but then you're adding Darnell Mooney, who signed a 3-year, $39 million deal. Good wide receiver out of Chicago. You, like I mentioned, the Rondale Moore trade from Atlanta. You got Ray McLeod, and then you got Charlie Warner, tight end. So like the offense is really shaping out to be pretty good. And then it looks like they're really focused on the offense, and then they're drafting on defense. So I like what they're doing. I think because of the division, they're going to fight for a playoff spot. Do I necessarily know if they're a playoff team yet? I don't know. There's a lot of unknowns of what's going to happen. On paper, I think they should compete, but I like what they're doing. The more I thought about it, the more it made sense.
Yeah, and like I said, usually those kind of top 10 picks, you expect them to start like right away. Um,
Hmm.
I would agree with you. I think that he's probably going to sit and learn. But it's weird because you just have such a highly anticipated player, a high pick, high anticipated player. You're not going to know if he's good or not in 2 or 3 years because you're starting. You have somebody else already sitting there that's going to start for you. Such an expensive player, a vet player. So it's like, oh, I'll make a decision now, but I don't know if it's going to be good or not 3 years down the road. So I guess it's a tough pill to swallow. But like you said, on paper, they seem talented. I'm still upset. Kyle Pitts was one of these guys that could have gone to the Dolphins, highly rated, but he kind of disappeared. He kind of got drafted and then hasn't done anything. So
I think he just got lost in that. Yeah, I mean, obviously he hasn't stood out tremendously,
yeah,
but also that situation in Atlanta has been really lackluster, especially in the quarterback. I mean, you've gone from Marcus Mariota to Desmond Ritter to
yeah,
whoever the fuck else they've pulled out there to play. So it's
yeah.
been kind of a
So, but I expect him to do
situation.
offensively. As far as Penix to sit down, it's kind of like a wait and see. Obviously, unless something tragic he gets hurt or he blows a knee like Aaron Rodgers in the first first 4 plays or something, you're not going to see Penix Jr. for the next 3 years. But Atlanta seems like there's one of these turnaround teams that they on paper they have talent. Bijan Robinson, Drake London.
Bijan Robinson,
They have
Drake London. It's really shaping out. And
they have potential.
when you
There's
think about
potential.
the people that are already on that team, man, it's looking good.
Yeah.
It's really looking good. I mean, Bijan Robinson's a monster. And I really like Drake London. I do. And then you tack on whatever. The more I think about it, when you think about players that sit down, it seems like the likelihood usually works out. It almost feels like when you start them immediately, it's almost always 50-50.
There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure to go from college speed to NFL speed.
But when you sit him down, it almost seems like most of the time it tends to work out. Whether or not they're elite is one thing, but it seems like for the most part, they end up being a solid quarterback. I mean, look at Jordan Love. I mean, he sat for how many years? 3 years? 4 years? He's turning out to be a pretty damn good quarterback. Yeah. And he's the last guy I can think of he's the last guy I can think of that truly sat down and waited since Aaron Rodgers. Because Aaron Rodgers sat back and waited for 4 years as well. I think Atlanta's taking, some notes. You constantly, every year, you see these guys go in and crash and burn, go in, crash and burn, go in, crash and burn. It just becomes this endless cycle. And it's like, maybe let's just take our time with this one. We got a guy who we can trust, who we know for a fact can start and for this team and make a team to a playoff and be a playoff caliber quarterback. Why not just run it and just let this guy learn? And then, if the team does good, more players are going to want to come. So then when it's Kirk Cousins' time to stop being the starter, you already have this solid team built around him and the Michael Penix, and gained a lot of that relationship throughout the year. So I don't know. We'll see. But let's switch over to our own teams. I'll start off with you, Gabe, with the Dolphins. I guess in general, what did you feel about the Dolphins acquisitions, this free agency, this draft?
I think overall
not a whole lot went on the Dolphins front from the incoming, but the outgoing was happening. But I guess you go.
I think overall, the Miami, Dolphins are addressing their needs. They picked Robinson from Penn State, edge rusher, and then Patrick Paul, offensive lineman. I think overall those are concerns. I still do have concerns. We'll see what they're able to do today. I have concerns at the cornerback position. I think on defense. But overall, the first 2 picks, because we don't have another pick to the 5th round. We got the first 2 rounds, and then we're gonna be sitting out to the 5th and 6th and 7th. So. So far they've done okay. It's been very conservative. Usually I'd be mad. But obviously they have to pick up an edge rusher, getting rid of Christian Wilkinson. They had to get rid of Christian Wilkinson, who went to the Raiders, because they have to set up money for Tua. So I'm fine with this. So far, the picks, I'm fine. I'm not going to be high here and say I've watched every Penn State game and I know exactly, what they're rated. But as far as the position, I'm fine with the acquisitions. I still think they can pick a corner. Maybe pick up some smaller talent, maybe smaller guys, maybe who will not be starters, but they might be a good second, third round, like a wide receiver or something, maybe a safety. But yeah, I think overall it's been okay. Like you only have two picks, two top picks. It's been all right.
Yeah, and it looks like you guys mostly like going through the transaction sheet since free agency. It's just a lot of smaller deals. You have Giannu Smith, 2-year, $8 million, so adding to the tight end position since losing. Gosh, how do you say his name? Grzinski. What was his name?
Gesicki.
That was Gesicki. God, I kept on wanting to say Grzinski. I don't know. Gesicki. But then you add Anthony Walker Jr., Jalen, and then also just a lot of salary cap moves. Jalen Ramsey converted $13 million to $11 million roster bonus, void 1 year, clearing $20 million cap. So he's being cap friendly deal. Durham Smith, cap friendly deal. He did. Alec Ingold, like he has made a lot of changes, and then obviously the big one, Jordan Brooks, linebacker. Shaquille Barrett, which 1 year deal, kind of like seems like it's just a lot of 1 year deals to really see what Miami can do and make that real run and that real push almost. And then obviously exercising Jalen Waddle and Jalen Phillips.
Yeah, Jaden Phillips is going to be tough because he's coming off injury again, a second injury. So yeah, I feel like in the past few years, our defense has been, kept us in games. Yeah, I remember that 1 year where we had so many turnovers, so many interceptions or interceptions for touchdowns and stuff. So it seems like we have gotten weaker on defense, but I expect us to be okay. I think we're going to compete. I still have high expectations for the Dolphins overall. So as far as the draft's going forward, they're just picking up small little spots. Like I said, defensively, if you want to pick a corner, a safety, maybe another wide receiver on a flyer. It's kind of tough when you get down to the 6th round, like picking the 500th best player in college.
You probably know this too. Obviously, also not obviously, but also Raheem Moser and Bradley Chubb restructured their deals too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of salary cap issues going on. I mean, obviously, you guys got a lot of big names. So both of those guys clearing a ton of space going into signing bonus. Yeah, they're making room. They had to, especially for this incoming draft class.
Like I said, overall, the draft, not disappointed. Still expect them to be competitive. We'll see what they're thinking going forward. But I'm excited for it. But Julian, let's talk about your team. With the Jags, it seems like they made a couple off-season moves, this season. And how do you feel overall about the Jags draft going forward? Do you feel like needs were addressed? I know they picked up a wide receiver, right? They picked up a wide receiver, I believe.
Yeah, so far they've done a lot that they're filling some needs. Well, I'm kind of in a wait and see mode with because we drafted late. It's one of those where this guy could have easily went to the 2nd round, but they got in the 1st round. It's kind of they're not like surefire hits. And we drafted Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU. He was a part of that electric LSU offense with Jayden Daniels. And he was one of those, because LSU had so many weapons, he wasn't asked to do a lot. He was pretty much a guy who was just a vertical threat because he has the speed and the height. He's 6'3" and has like a 4'4" or like a 4'3" 40. He's lightning quick, but also tall. Kind of almost like a Mike Evans, kind of like for like almost. But obviously, Mike, we'll see if he ends up being Mike Evans, that'd be great if he can. Probably faster than Mike Evans, honestly. But he's being added to a team that I feel like was a need at wide receiver we didn't necessarily need. He almost feels like a Gabe Davis 2.0, where he's a jump ball guy, but we already kind of had that with Gabe Davis. I would have liked to see somebody who was going to be a speedster and a route runner and who's really going to be a little bit more versatile, I guess. And time will tell with him because since at LSU, he didn't really have to do very many things because that team was so loaded on offense, and LSU wide receivers are they just produce wide receivers left and right, which is a good sign. I think when he comes to Jacksonville, they're going to ask him to do more things, and I'm a little worried within this first year how well he's going to transition into being able to have to do multiple roles and do multiple routes and do that. But in general, I'm glad that we're adding another offensive weapon. I just wish that we got a little bit more of a versatile guy to kind of complement Gabe Davis. But now, look, it could work out, and then you have two big guys on the ends and Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas Jr. I'm hoping that he can be better than Gabe Davis because I think Gabe Davis is pretty much capped. I'm kind of whatever about him. I don't think he's a bad wide receiver, but I don't think he's necessarily great. And I'm still not sure if we really address the number one wide receiver issue, which is the biggest issue, especially since Calvin Ridley left, is we haven't really addressed the number one wide receiver issue. And maybe this guy will be that. Justin Jefferson was drafted pretty much at the same spot. Justin Jefferson was at 22. This guy was at 23. LSU guy. I'm hoping it works out the same, So if it's kind of one of those where I think he's going to be a good player. He's going to contribute to the team. I just don't know if he's a number one. And this team needs a number one. Unless they're going into this offense thinking with Press Taylor, maybe we just become a wide receiver group by committee. Maybe we don't need a number one guy. But I'm hoping that this guy can be that guy because I don't think Gabe Davis is, and I don't think Christian Kirk is because just due to the position that he plays. You need a guy out wide. But the good thing is we have a ton of red zone threats, which is something that we really struggled with last year, and adding a lot of height really helps. Obviously, already having Evan Ingram, who is a monster and been one of the best tight ends in the league. Then obviously adding Gabe Davis, like I mentioned before, a guy with height, and now this guy. You have a lot of height going into red zone, so we should be pretty deadly in the red zone. And I'm hoping that works out because that was a huge, huge issue. And then we added a big guy in the second round in the interior of the defense, which is something needed. I'm hoping he can be really good. Obviously, the big signing of Eric Armstead from San Francisco was a huge, absolutely huge pickup for Jacksonville because the interior pressure was so lacking last year. And being able to bring in one of the best interior guys in the league and partnering him next to this, I'm hoping that this guy, this Mason Smith, can learn from him and play better and do better. And then third round, we got a cornerback, which we got rid of a lot of cornerbacks except for our star Tyson Campbell. We got rid of a lot of the other starters. So that cornerback room is going to be kind of a reset except for one guy. So we'll see how well that goes. I kind of like the cornerback room that we had outside of the nickel position, but Darius Williams is asking for too much. So that's going to be kind of a wait and see and let's see. But the biggest thing I think they for sure need to address these next coming rounds, and I kind of wish they addressed it earlier, is the offensive line because the offensive line is so bad, and we still have yet to address it, whether it be in the specifically the interior, whether it be in free agency, which that seems to have already passed. I don't think we're getting anybody of note in there. And then as for the draft, we're going into the fourth round, getting a fourth round linebacker. I mean, a guard or a center. I don't know how well that's going to turn out. So I'm hoping that they get at least two interior linemen because I think we're pretty good at tackle. I like what we have at tackle. It's just really the interior was just getting blown up because our high draft pick and Luke Fortner at center has not really lived up to the hype people had for him coming out of college. And then the guards has just been a rotating shit show of just whoever they can fucking find at the nearest car dealership. So I don't know. I wish they addressed it earlier. I probably would have rather them. I mean, I like the defensive tackle pick of Mason Smith in the second round. It is a need, but we did just get Eric Armstead. I don't mind beefing up more, but like, I think you kind of have to like adjust. I mean, the interior is so important because if Trevor Lawrence is getting absolutely railed and not having a pocket, we're not going to be able to get anything going. So unless we end up playing defensive battles, which we might have to this year.
Yeah.
We should be good, but yeah.
Well, we'll see. The rest of the draft obviously is still going on. We're in the later rounds, probably less glamorous, but we'll see. Like I said, around May 12th, they usually do the big schedule announcement. So we'll be here in a couple weeks rating who has the best commercial for the best presentation. I'm sorry, but Tennessee last year, one of the best ones ever when they did downtown, when they were remember interviewing people. We'll see how they come back this year.
Yeah. They couldn't name the teams or whatever. They're getting it all fucked up. That took me a second to think about what it was.
Yeah, remember? Yeah, that was probably the best one last year. I don't know.
I like that. I might be biased, but you know what? I'm not biased because the Jaguars schedule release always sucked. It was always terrible. But last year was actually really good with the whole like leaning into like the NFL scripted. Yeah. Like that was hilarious. I thought that was really good. Normally we're ass.
I know
like the Dolphins.
I hated the Dolphins last year. Last year the Dolphins
are always.
It was terrible. It was terrible last year. We'll see what it's do. But let's talk about real quick because obviously we have tons of games going on as we record this on Saturday. We're in the middle of the first round of the NBA playoffs, so we can talk about a little bit of. I did watch a couple games last night. I was able to watch the Milwaukee Pacers games. But how do you feel overall about the NBA playoffs? As a whole, about this first round, are things turning as you expected them to be?
I think for the most part, everything is happening like I expected, except the Knicks and Sixers series. But we can go down game by game. Let's start off with the Celtics versus the Heat. Gabe, I got one.
We got one, baby. Don't let us get one, baby. Don't let us get one.
That's what Gabe's been saying from the jump. Don't let them get one. So they stole one from home. And honestly, a very impressive fashion. I don't know how much of it was the Heat stepping up or the Celtics really dropping the ball, but I'll let you go on that.
Absolutely terrible by Missoula. I think the biggest takeaway from the last game, obviously, is Missoula allowing the Miami Heat to shoot threes, and then the Miami Heat be like, "Okay, you're not gonna close out on these threes. I guess we'll take them." And it's not just like usually if you're gonna let a team shoot threes, usually you want to contest them. They were wide open, like nobody within 6 feet of any shooters, and they had to shoot lights out. I think they broke the record for most threes attempted in a half or something. They broke some kind of playoff either franchise record.
You said usually you want to defend.
Yeah, but Missoula said, "Hey, y'all gonna beat us with the three?" And Miami said, "Yes, we will tonight." So obviously they play tonight. I'm wearing my Miami Heat stuff. The Heat is on. I see you got your Miami Heat shirt going on.
Yeah,
I expect Missoula to make adjustments. I don't expect him, if he's a smart coach, I don't expect him to go with the same game plan to allow. We do have shooters, and it seems like with this playoffs, it's again with the Miami Heat. For the Miami Heat to have a chance, especially now we have tons of injuries, guys getting hurt, Jimmy Butler out, probably won't play this series. The Miami Heat, if they want a chance to advance, okay, everything written on the wall, everything people are saying, they're writing us off, okay, writing off the Heat. If the Miami Heat want a chance to advance, they have to play well. They have to play efficiently. They have to take efficient shots, and they have to shoot lights out. Right? When they shoot well, when Miami Heat shoot well, I think overall the Miami's defense has been highly rated. They've been one of the top teams defensively since the beginning, thanks to our contestant DPOY nominee, Bam Adebayo. Defensively, I think they've done pretty well for a season. But the biggest thing is the Celtics have been lights out. As far as like point differential, they've been shooting teams out of the stadium, out of the arenas. So game 2 was a gimme. All we had to do was take one away from them, and you know what I mean? The playoffs start. Playoffs don't start until a fucking road team wins. So now we're at home. We had 2 at home. They play tonight as we record this on Saturday. Tons of games going on. They play later this afternoon. So I'll be watching that. I think that's probably the most exciting game to watch today. But, bro, they let us get one. Listen, you gave us an inkling. You gave us an inkling in the darkness, an inkling of light at the end of the tunnel. And I think the Heat are going to take advantage of that. To me, it's still... Celtics have been highly rated as far as beginning of the season, going into this playoffs. Everybody's expecting the Celtics to be in the Eastern Conference Finals and in the finals. And it seems like this is finals or bust for the Celtics. And this is my championship. I don't think that if the Heat advance, I don't.
My championship.
Listen, I don't expect the Heat, to go deep. If they do go deep, I don't expect them to go deep. I expect more of a repeat. Like I said, I think we're in the Nuggets era. So even if they somehow made it into a finals and played the Nuggets, they probably lose again. But this is my championship. I have a chance to talk shit on the Celtics to disappoint Celtics fans who have been so highly. I heard the statistics, and whenever the Miami Heat and the Celtics play, they always advance. Whoever the winner of the series is usually advances to the Eastern Conference Finals. Usually, whenever they play in the playoffs like this. So, yeah, man, this is my championship. They gave us an inkling of a chance, and now we have 2 games at home. I hope for Celtics fans. I hope for Missoula's reputation that they make adjustments and don't allow the Heat wide open threes in, because that was a foolish mistake.
Yeah. My thing with this game is, or just in general with the series, I don't know. I don't think the Heat are going to be able to repeat what they did. That's my biggest concern, is it took playing absolutely lights out from behind the 3-point line to win by 10 points. And I think, like you said, this is a Celtics team who kind of let them have it almost, and they got kind of caught slipping and they let them do it. They're not going to do that again.
You can't.
I don't see them doing it.
I hope they don't. And I hope you say they're not going to let them do it again. I hope they don't do them again, because
even if they do, I just don't trust that the Heat can continuously win like that. And that's what concerns me, is not having Jimmy Butler, who I feel like if he's not hurt, he's playing hurt. I just feel like this guy, I don't know what's going on with this. I just feel like he's always hurt. I don't know if you think I'm wrong on that, but I just feel like every time I hear him about, like, whether it be in the regular season or the playoffs, he's either hurt or he's playing hurt. And it's just a guy who can never stay healthy, it seems. And especially with not having him, and even if you do have him, I just feel like the Heat just don't have enough. As much as I want to root for them and to advance, because I do think if they get through the Celtics somehow, some way, they're beating whoever comes out of Cleveland and Orlando, personally, if they're able to beat the Celtics. But I just don't think they can. I think it took them, like I said, it took them to play like the Golden State Warriors of like 2012 to do what they did to win by 10 points. And I don't know if they could do that again. And that's kind of like my one concern.
Yeah.
The Celtics they're just too good on all fronts. And it took everything for the Heat to just win, like I said, just to win by 10 points and drop 111. Like,
and that's the thing about that.
Sneak another one at home, but I don't know if they take another. I think they might get 2 wins, because I do think they can steal one at home again. But they're not winning 4. I can't see it. Wow. I can't see it.
Like I said, you don't have to. Is it sustainable? That's the question, right? Especially with a team like the Celtics, when they're so efficient with their shooting, like I said, they have a high point differential in the season. What you want to do is get the game stuck in the mud. You want to be, getting fouls, running down the clock, because at that point it's just a game of possessions, right? You don't want the other team, if they're efficient at scoring points, you don't want them to have the amount of possessions, right? Because possession is just a chance for them to score. If they're efficient at scoring, you want to reduce that as much as possible. And I think that's what Jimmy Butler brings to the team. Everybody says, a lot of load management, him, disappearing from the regular season, and hopefully have him in the playoffs. But obviously he's not playing.
He disappears in the regular season.
But playoff Jimmy is a thing. Even though he was not in a fucking commercial for the NBA, somehow playoff Jimmy didn't make an appearance. But he's hurt. He's not playing, so we don't have to worry about playoff Jimmy. I think that they like I said, they gave the Miami Heat an inkling, a chance, a glimmer of possibly getting through this round. So, I feel like Miami Heat their back is against the wall, and like this is like prime culture. This is Spo. If the Miami Heat advance, this is a credit to Spo, and the players obviously as well who are on the floor, who have to actually score the points. But as far as talent-wise, everybody knows Celtics tremendously talented, should advance, it should be Eastern Conference finalist. But as far as coaching, I mean, I'm sorry, I still have the best coach in the goddamn league, and I'm gonna put my chips on the best coach. Like, he's done nothing but consistently, been able to outcoach and outscheme players. Like fucking, famously this year, his quote was, "We have enough." I don't know if we have enough, but I think there is a chance that the Celtics, if we play well, and that's what it hinges on, the players playing well, defensively and offensively. If we play well, I think Miami Heat definitely have a chance to advance, and it's going to be an easy road to Eastern Conference Finals. So that's why I'm excited for tonight. I think it's the best game to watch tonight, actually.
And I think too, with the Heat, for them to win, they have to play well collectively, because they don't have the guy. They don't have Jimmy, and I don't think Tyler Hero can be that guy. I don't think Bam can necessarily be that guy who can just take over a game. They have to play well collectively. They all have to get into the teens and like low 20s to win these games. They have to all be working together in unison, which is what the Heat team does, honestly. But having that lack of like that one guy like Jimmy, I think does hurt them a lot. But let's move on to the next game of Cavaliers versus the Magic. So Cavs honestly dominated, I thought, the first two games at home. And then the Magic come home and absolutely put on a masterclass. Paulo Banchero went absolutely nuts that game. It almost felt like a completely different Magic team. When I was watching the Cavs these first two games, I'm like, oh man, they could potentially sweep the Magic. This is looking rough. But then, man, the Magic came back swinging. Now I have this feeling where I'm like, this series might go to Game 7, with potentially the Cavs taking it because they have that home court advantage. Because the Magic game's about to start soon. I'm going to watch that. They can repeat what they did. I mean, I thought they pretty much manhandled the Cavaliers that first game. So they might tie up this series today on Saturday. But yeah, what do you think of this series so far?
I'm high on the Orlando Magic in general. I think they're a young, fun team. I think they'll be competitive going forward, which is fun. It's good to see some new teams getting up there. I think overall in this series, I am a little bit surprised. Cavs have been. I would have said they played well last year, or been a higher perspective team last year. But yeah, it should be fun. I think this is probably the second most important game today that I'm probably going to watch. But overall, I'm not high on either of these teams advancing too far. So I guess if I had to, like I said, I think I picked the Magic to advance on this one, but it should be fun. The series is 2-1. Cleveland have up on them, so that's what I love about the NBA playoffs. From game to game, like everything feels like a seesaw. Like if you win one, it's like, oh, the series is over, or you lose one, it's like, oh, what are they going to do to get them back? So overall, it should be okay. Like it's like I said, it's exciting that the teams are advancing, but I don't expect anything much out of this team. Like I'm too much of a Heat fan for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I still think the Cavs going to do it. I mean, they have that guy, and his name, Donovan Mitchell. I think they just have that one X factor that the Heat. Look, Paulo Banchero, I think he's a great talent. He could be that guy. If he continues to play like he did this past game, then it could. It's one of those where it could really go back and forth. But I think due to home court advantage, and I do think Donovan Mitchell is probably the best player in that series, they're going to advance because of that. Now let's go to the Bucks and Pacers. So this is a little bit of a shocking one. This is the one that we did not predict happening. Bucks are down 2-1. Indiana is leading 2-1 in a insane game last night. Chris Middleton stepped up for the first time in like 2 years. Haven't seen that guy play like that in forever. He drains a three pretty much with 1 second left to send it in overtime. Does it again, but then Indiana takes it all the way down the court and gets a 2-pointer right before like a second left, and then they couldn't get anything going. And that final second hit the buzzer beater. Man, I feel like the Bucks, man, they're playing well, but they're not getting it done. I mean, Dame Had an incredible first 2 games. He was playing really well. I know we had questions about like the outside things going on with
he
his
came
life,
out,
but man, he's been the first 2 games. He was absolutely balling. He was a little bit quiet this third game, but you had Chris Middleton who really stepped up and took that reins. But missing Giannis, I think, really hurts them. They need him bad, and I don't know when he's supposed to come back. But I have a feeling that the Pacers, this game's all about momentum. And when you get that momentum rolling, they're feeling high. They stole one in Milwaukee. They won one at home. I think they feel they could take another one.
Yeah,
if the Bucks lose on Sunday, it might be it. Like, I don't know if they can come back from a 3-1 without Giannis. It's crazy. I mean, it's just the pace. It's not that the Bucks are playing bad. It's just the Pacers
they're playing really well. Yeah,
they're playing really well. Like, it's just they're just working together as a unison. Like,
yeah. I was able to catch that game yesterday, and it wasn't exciting. Especially, I was able to watch, especially that last half and them going to overtime. I find myself rooting for the Pacers, even though I hate both these teams. Historically, I haven't, I have no dog in the fight. But if I had to pick, much like the Heat defeating the Celtics, if I had to pick an underdog, I'm picking the Pacers to upset the Bucks, because these Bucks fans on Twitter, they are so entitled. They won one championship and they have a sense of entitlement.
I think it's funny too that I said Lillard had a quiet game, but he still dropped 28.
Yeah.
But considering the first 2 games, it was quieter. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because we expect to see Dame, in end of game, situations where he's the one shooting 3, or what I mean. Like you said, it was a kind of a dogfight. It was back and forth. It was a really, really fun, like, exciting game. Like, for me, expecting the Pacers to lose, it turned out really, really well. It was really fun, and somehow they kept giving the ball to Chris Middleton, him shooting threes. Obviously, he missed that last one. I think the play before there was a foul on Pat Bev. He gave kind of a dumb foul, and the Pacers were able to go to the line. They got an N1.
Yeah, they got an N1.
So that kind of forced them to, at the end of the game, to shoot the Chris Middleton 3 where he's shooting from behind the line. But if Pat Bev didn't give that stupid foul and they made give a free throw, maybe they get a little closer to the net. They're able to bring up a play to get a little closer to the net and try to shoot a 3 at the end of the game to tie it, I believe. So, but yeah, man, it was a fun one last night. A barn burner. I'm rooting, I guess, for the Pacers in the series, but somehow, exciting game. I think probably the second best game in the Eastern Conference. That series, I would say. I think the Pacers. They can win. They can win another one at home, man. Don't sleep on the Pacers.
All right, let's go to the last game in the Eastern Conference. We have the Knicks versus the Sixers. Man, this series has been a dogfight. It's been going back and forth. There's some questionable reffing situations that's been going on in this series. Looks like some refs making a little bit more this month than normal. Looks he's going to go to his accountant next year and be like, man, what happened the month of April where you just you may double your income? But you go ahead on this game.
So this series, obviously, both teams unlikable. Somehow the Knicks, the past years I saw this coming. All right, they have a decent team, nice little team. I think this series is turning out. I kind of expected the Knicks kind of to sweep the 76ers. There's no reason for, especially with Embiid getting hurt. That's a tough injury to get, especially in the playoffs. Embiid, I feel like, has been at the center of the team, center of the process, whatever. Tough injury for Embiid. But the Knicks need to stop playing around with the food, man. Just go ahead, advance. Everybody knows you had a top team this year. Go ahead, advance. But it's fun. It's fun to watch, teams get messy. It seems like this side of the Eastern Conference playoffs is the most competitive side. But yeah, I don't want to root for the Knicks. I don't want to root for anybody. I hope both teams lose and no teams advance. But I think the Knicks, the logical side of my brain says Knicks are the better team and should advance going forward. I think they play tomorrow. They're the first game tomorrow, I think, on Sunday. So fun series.
Yeah, it's been a fun series. I think what's really keeping the Sixers alive, man, is just Joel Embiid has been a monster. these past 3 games. Like, he has just been dominating. Obviously, last game dropping 50 points. Like, he's been a force to be reckoned with. I think he's really kept the team in the game. And who's the other guy they have? Is it Maxine? Am I crazy? What's the guy's name? I'm drawing a blank. Damn, Gabe.
Yeah, Tyrese.
Throwing up an alley-oop.
I think Tyrese Maxey.
Oh, Maxey. Okay, Maxey. Yeah, that guy has been on a roll too.
What the fuck is Maxine?
Yeah, there was Max.
There's a Maxine somewhere else in the league, but I'm like, Maxine?
I'm not a Sixers guy, but when I'm watching this playoffs, I think it was game 2, man. That guy, he was good. He was been playing lights out, and he's still been playing really good this season. I mean, this playoffs and the season. But Joel Embiid, I think, he's been the catalyst that's really kept this team into games. He's just been an absolute menace. But I do still think the Knicks they have too much talent on that team. I think they're playing really well. Jalen Brunson's playing really well. Bobby Porter Jr. Like, these guys are playing well. They're going to advance. I don't think the Sixers have enough. You know, Joel's he's as well as he's playing, he's still kind of playing beat up. I'm sure he's hurting after every game.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's necessarily, as much as I thought that Maxey guy has been playing amazing, I don't know if he's going to be enough on his own with a kind of a look. It's possible. I definitely think it's possible, but I just think the Knicks have too much firepower. They have too much firepower, and with the home court advantage, look, the Sixers can't tie it up tomorrow. We'll see. If they tie it up tomorrow, then anything's possible, which I have a strong feeling they can. But the Knicks are either going to be in 6 or 7.
Yeah. Probably
All
6.
right.
I'll pick him in 6, yeah.
6. All right, let's go Western Conference. Bring out the brooms. The Pelicans are done. Zion Williamson is out for the playoffs, right? He's pretty much done.
I believe so, yeah. Let me look at the.
So even if he was there, he ain't doing nothing. The Thunder are rolling, man. The Thunder are absolutely rolling. There's nothing they can do. Nothing the Pelicans can do about it. There's not much to really talk about this game.
Bring out the brooms, yeah.
MVP contender, doing what he does. SGA, he's killing it, man.
MVP finalist.
Yep.
All right.
Give me your in-depth thoughts and if the Pelicans can come back and win.
Absolutely not. Next.
All right, Clippers Mavs. So this is probably the most balanced matchup I thought coming into this playoffs. Look, man, I had the Clippers advancing, but the Mavs with Kyrie and Luka, and they've stepped up, man. They're doing what they need to do. They're winning games. I'm excited for the Mavs. I want to see the Mavs go far. I need to see Luka deep in the playoffs. I need to see it. I hate seeing him getting bounced so quickly. And I'm glad to see Kyrie starting to look like old Kyrie. You know, he's actually playing well. He's facilitating the game. He's looking well. And they're winning they're winning these shootouts, man. The Clippers, man, what is wrong with Paul? I swear, Paul George he never shows up, dude, in these big moments. Except last year. Last year he had a couple big moment games, but it's pretty much Harden doing what he could do to keep this team alive. But I like the Mavericks, man. Oh yeah, Kawhi was quiet as well. It seems like a lot of the big stars, on paper, the Clippers should advance. But they're not showing up. It's typical Clippers fashion. They're just not doing enough to actually go through. And I'm glad to see the Mavericks actually working together as a unison. They're playing well. They got a great culture put over there in Dallas. I mean, the culture's so good, you're able to get Kyrie back to his normal self. I'm really excited to see what the Mavs could do. They could be a dark horse team. Who knows? They could just be one of those teams on a run. But I like Dallas here, man. I think they're going to continue to do what they do. I think the Clippers are slowly falling apart. They keep on relying on signing these aging stars to get it done, and it's not working.
Maybe the new stadium will help. Maybe the new arena will help them.
Maybe they get Kevin Durant.
Speaking of Kevin Durant, you want to talk about this?
Real quick, 7 points for Paul George, 9 points for Kawhi Leonard in that last game. This is unacceptable. Paul George 1 for 6 at the 3-point line, 3 for 11 on field goal percent. it's unacceptable from like a guy like him. Absolutely wild.
Let's talk about the Timberwolves Suns. I feel like this portion of the bracket is really tough.
Bring out the brooms. Bring out the brooms.
Timberwolves and Suns. Obviously, I think the biggest storyline of this is like Anthony Edwards going back and forth with Kevin Durant. I think it's been the funniest one. I think yesterday he was giving him the DX chop last night. He was giving the DX chop last night. How do you feel overall the series? I feel like, man, the Suns have somehow disappeared. I feel like last year they were kind of downtrending, but I can't believe they're in a position where they might get swept by the Timberwolves.
Dude, the Suns are a 3-man team. Like, you look at the box scores, you look at the past couple games, and even just with the eye test and watching it, outside of Booker, Beal, and Durant, there is no offense outside of those three. Like, that's it. They're literally the only three people scoring. Minnesota, on the other hand, as well as Anthony Edwards is playing, he's playing absolutely lights out. He's been one of the best players in the playoffs so far. I don't know who else. I mean, outside of SGA, but like who else are you putting ahead of? Like, he is definitely a top 3 player in the playoffs. He is playing absolutely amazing. But then just as a whole, this Timberwolves team is it's a stacked team. It's a good team. The Suns, on the other hand, just have no depth, and unless those 3 are on the court, they're not playing. So this is done. This is over. Bring out the brooms. This is a team that's hungry. I think this Suns project is done. I think they're going to blow it up next year. They're probably going to trade Booker. There's no way Durant stay. Durant don't stay for very long if teams don't. Durant's going to go back to OKC. I'm calling it now. Let's regroup February 14th of 2025. Kevin Durant at OKC.
Oh, wow. You said Kevin Durant at OKC. Well, I'm saying Kevin Durant to the Golden State Warriors, man. He comes back for a second round, man.
No. That seems too bad. That seems so bad. I mean, I appreciate Steph Curry, a guy who can stay with the team no matter how bad he is. He's the only guy with any sort of loyalty left in this league.
But yeah, I'm a little bit shocked at the series, man. I expected this game maybe to go to 6. Maybe the Suns competing and going to 6, but I'm actually shocked that they actually might get swept in this series. But I don't think it doesn't matter who wins the Timberwolves. I think the Timberwolves will advance, but I don't think it matters because let's talk about the Nuggets Lakers. I think the Nuggets are the juggernaut of this. But are you surprised at the Lakers series? How?
Hell no. Hell no. We all called this shit was going to be a sweep. Yeah. This is going to be 8 in a row.
Yeah.
Like 8 in a row. I'm so happy. You have no idea how happy I am to see the Lakers get swept back-to-back times. It warms my heart just to see all the LeBron dick riders coming up with excuse after excuse. It's so nice. I love it. It's amazing. It's great. Just seeing the way they're just dominating these teams, like it's awesome.
Yeah, I
don't know who's stopping the Nuggets, man. But I do think the conference semifinals is going to be really good because you're probably going to get OKC. Based off my predictions, you got OKC Mavericks, Timberwolves, Nuggets. That's a really good. As much as a sleeper the first round has been, the conference finals is going to be really good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the semifinals. It's going to be a better series going forward, but.
Yeah,
man, the Nuggets are just too dominant, man. I think there's no answer. There's nobody to answer for Jokic. Maybe a big body, maybe like an Embiid if who's playing on the West Coast, but he's injured. Maybe a Giannis, but he's not. I mean, there's nobody who can stop him.
You think Anthony Davis could, but he can't.
Yeah. I think nothing less of what I expected. I expected the Lakers to get bounced out of there. So yeah,
Anthony Davis is playing well. Like, honestly, I mean, like last game he dropped 33 points right here. So, but I mean, look at this collective. I mean, Aaron Gordon 29, Michael Porter Jr. 20, Nikola Jokic 24, Jamal Murray 22. Like the starting 5 as a whole is just playing so well. It's playing so well.
Yeah, man. I think Nuggets to the finals. Like whatever they have, it's going to be a bulldozer. To the Western Conference Finals. And
I just love seeing the Lakers lose. I love seeing them not make the playoffs or get absolutely demolished. It's great. It's awesome. I love it. Damn. I know you're a closeted Laker fan.
I'm not a Lakers fan. Are you crazy?
You're a closeted Laker fan. Never been a Lakers fan. You never talk bad about the Lakers.
I mean, I don't want to get, like cursed out on Twitter. You got to be careful. Those are an entitled fan base, but they have entitled.
But wait. But you talk shit about the Celtics?
Oh, absolutely.
You're scared of Laker fans?
Those are different. I mean, I got no beef. I can't talk about. Why do I have beef with somebody?
Shit about the Knicks?
Why do I have beef?
Knicks fans?
I'm having beef with somebody who's getting bounced out the first round. That's what I'm gonna talk shit about. Like, it's bad enough over there. Why do I need to pile on? Plus, they have shit to talk about the Heat, right? They won that 2020 bubble year, so I can't talk shit to a Lakers fan. They just say, "Oh, we beat your ass in the bubble," even though Bam Adebayo and Goran Dragic got hurt. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, I wish we had JoJo on to see how he feels about this series, because he's a Laker fan. He's talking about a Laker fan. He's a Laker fan. I don't give a damn.
No, LeBron. JoJo's he's gonna defend like everything that they could. Oh, this, that. Gosh, I've never seen somebody follow a player like that's just wild to me. I'll still never let that down. No. Bro, I'm a Lakers fan. Never had a Lakers jersey until 2 years ago, or however long ago, 4 years ago, however long it's been. Oh man, but so interested to see how this shapes out, and then we can end it off with a little bit of NHL talk. I've been following it. It's been pretty fun to watch. Panthers finally getting their payback after 3 out of the 4 years getting absolutely obliterated by Tampa. I'm glad we've finally beefed up this team enough to absolutely obliterate Tampa. This Florida team is amazing. The depth is it's so good. I'm so excited to see what this team can do. Matthew Tkachuk, Sam Reinhart, Sam Bennett, Alexander Barkov, Ekblad, playoff Bob is back.
Oh man, he's back.
Gosh, I don't know if you saw that. I don't know if you saw that save. Oh,
dude, I retweeted it. There's a on Twitter. There's a thing. It says it's like for NHL. It's like a picture right before something like an unfortunate event. So it has a picture of Bob like completely backwards to the guy, and the guy with the puck shooting it. It's like a picture right before a series of unfortunate events.
And is genuinely that was one of the I saw it live, and like that was genuinely one of the best saves I have ever seen in hockey. Granted, I don't watch a lot of hockey.
Yeah,
I like to say I've watched a decent amount throughout my
your lifetime. Yeah, what you've witnessed.
That was what I've witnessed, which isn't a lot, but still, that is an incredible save. I mean, not even like the back of his fucking forearm he blocked. It was incredible. So. Tampa, they have not a bad first line, but they just don't have the depth that we have. And I'm excited to see the Brooms get pulled out today and absolutely finish Tampa. But let's go to Boston-Toronto real quick. So Boston-Toronto was a really good game. I'm only going to talk about the series I watched.
Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, but like Boston-Toronto has been honestly a battle. I still don't know who's going to get through. It seems like Boston tends to be a little bit of the better team, but
historically,
it's even the series. But this is a good matchup. I'm really excited. This is one that I'm really following and seeing how it plays out. I still kind of have Boston advancing, but Toronto's put up a lot of good fights. And then as for the Rangers, Washington Capitals, this is kind of what we expected. But I will say Washington has looked pretty good in some of these games. They've kind of lost close games, but New York just ends up being too much. So, and New York is obviously the favorites to potentially win it all. They're one of the contenders. As long as they don't get too much in their head, it's going to be it should be a sweep. And then same thing, Carolina has just absolutely been dominant. It's like I want to say Washington has put up a fight against the Rangers. Those have actually been pretty good games to watch. But the Islanders against Carolina, Carolina's just so good. They've just been absolutely obliterating them. That series next round between New York and Carolina is going to be one for the ages. That's going to be really good. Because we all know Florida's going to the conference finals. There's no way Boston or Toronto is taking out.
I don't know about I wouldn't say
no,
I'm not worried about Toronto, but Boston's a tough team. Obviously, we
already gave Boston that work last year.
But listen, that was then.
We gave both of these teams that work last year. We gave Toronto that work last year. We gave Boston that work last year, and we're even better So yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest takeaways as far as Florida Panthers is they're even better from previous playoffs. So like that's something exciting to watch. So I think they play later tonight, right? Like 5 o'clock.
Yeah, they do play. They play today. As for the Western Conference, this one I haven't followed as much, except for the Dallas Vegas has been an insane upset.
Yeah.
Dallas coming into this year was by far the best team on the West. They've been incredible all year long, one of the title contenders, and they're losing. Look, I know Vegas is the reigning champs, but Vegas also wasn't necessarily the best team last year. But it is incredible to see what they are doing against Dallas is absolutely insane. And they're going back to home ice. Vegas might win this in 5. So that is the NHL upset of the year. I think that has been absolutely wild to see what's happening over there. As for the Winnipeg Jets, Colorado, this is a little closer than I anticipated too. Colorado, I still think is going to come out of here. Colorado is a very good team. They're one of the only contenders in the West as well. As for the other 2 games, Vancouver, Nashville, Edmonton, LA. Haven't really watched those games. Those are kind of like those games I see in the background. I'm really looking at the big matchups because I'm mostly looking at the top of that bracket for the Western Conference. So we'll see what happens because I think that Vancouver, Nashville, and Edmonton, LA is kind of like a crapshoot. We'll see what's going to happen there. I think you're going to get a lot of back and forth. Those are pretty more evenly matched teams. But yeah, hockey's been absolutely super pumped. I don't know if a part of it's just because my team is like absolutely obliterating.
Yeah, it's fun when your team wins. It's fun when your team wins.
But in general, I think it's going to be pretty exciting this next round. I think just like the NBA, the first round, there wasn't a lot of good matchups. A lot of it has been pretty one-sided. But these I can't want to say conference.
The next round, second round.
But the semifinal round, the divisional rounds. My bad. That's the word. These divisional second rounds are going to be really fun to watch. So, yeah, man. Any other sports news, dude? I think we got it, unless there's something else you wanted to bring up briefly.
I think we covered it all, so hopefully we'll be back here next week, obviously in the middle of playoffs. No baseball. Hopefully I have the JoJo on here to talk baseball. I haven't watched anything. It's just been NBA and NHL, so that'll be the main coverage, Julian. Julian, how have we been doing on the YouTubes? Doing all right? Real Fan FCs, how's the soccer talking? Because also Inter Miami plays today, I believe, as well.
They do. Look, man, doing both these shows, covering all these sports has been a lot. Soccer has been absolutely jam-packed. Our next episode is going to have so much to talk about. I don't know if we can even fit it all. But it's been awesome. There's so much going on between the Champions League, MLS season, the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and now we're leading into the Copa America, but we got the title race in England that's been like super close, fighting for that first spot to win the title in the EPL. So it's been wild. So if you enjoy Footy Talk, go over there, check us out. There's a lot to cover, and then we got some big things cooking for the Copa America coming up. We want to start potentially doing some live streams, not only for that, but even for this show. I've been thinking about it, but it's kind of tough for their schedules.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, guys, I want to thank you for all watching to the end. If you have made it to the end, I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
You know where to find us. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. If you are listening to audio podcasts, leave us a rating on Spotify. Or I've been seeing we're actually getting more Apple podcast users than Spotify, which is kind of rare as of lately. Normally we get more Spotify users, but leave us a review on there as well. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode next week. Hopefully we can talk a little bit about the second round of all these things.
Yeah, man, definitely. Thank y'all. We'll be here next week or this week. Peace.
Peace out.